Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey everyone, it's Heather Hope again. Welcome back to the Inspired Entrepreneur podcast. This podcast is for the business owner who is all into the law of attraction, specifically Abraham Hicks. So if that's you, stick around and let's chat how to function in the business world as a spiritual person, basically, right? It has been an interesting journey on my end, especially just dealing with people, right? Okay, so if you're new here, welcome. I wrote this book called The Inspired Entrepreneur, and it is 366 days of inspiration, meaning really law of attraction for the business owner. So each day we go through the next page. So today is April 2nd. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you had an amazingly manifesting week. Oh, you know what? So let me tell you something really quick. So I woke up this morning. I had a dream. So if you follow Abraham like really good, like I do, you know what dreams are. Dreams are basically you are in vibrational vicinity of whatever you are dreaming about. So let me tell you just a tiny, tiny bit of my dream. It was something to do with a business that I had. It's totally not a business I've ever thought about doing, but somehow in my dream I did. It doesn't really matter. But what does matter at the end of my dream, because I was like in a competition and I almost won. Everybody loved my business. And I was surprised I didn't win. Excuse me. I got in like second place or something. It was this big crowd of people. And so at the end, somebody came up to me and offered me $1 million to basically invest in my business or something like that. So I woke up like, oh my God, I'm getting $1 million. I'm getting $1 million. So I'm like certain about that. What's funny is that last night I took a shower because I was getting ready for this morning to get up early and do some stuff. And in my shower, we all know about inspiration in the shower. I'm all about that. So many of my ideas came from the shower. So I was in the shower and I'm like, you know what? Because we all know that I'm winning the lottery and there's a lot of us here that are winning the lottery. And I talk about it a lot and I visualize it every morning and all that good stuff. So I was like, you know what? I want to be one of those people that just wins multiple lotteries, because there's some people out there who've won numerous larger lotteries. And it becomes one of the, like, they're the outliers, which I've always considered myself an outlier because of those circumstances. Like, I just think it's kind of like being, thinking outside the box. But there's a handful of people who've won numerous lottery jackpots. I don't like using that word, but lotteries. And so it's like, the odds of winning once is like astronomical, right? I don't believe in odds, so I'm just being kind of funny about this. But the odds of winning twice or 3 times or 7 times or 10 times is like the most insane thing to think about, right? But people have done it. So it's not impossible. But when you think it's impossible, then it is impossible, and you become one of those people that it's like once in a billion people or something that would ever happen. Well, I don't think that way, because Abraham's like, what are you talking about? Like, stop looking at the stats, stop looking at the odds. It doesn't pertain to you at all. It doesn't pertain to any of us unless we really believe in it. So last night I was like, I want to be one of those people who win multiple lotteries. Just because if you win once, you can do it. Like, you're convinced it's possible. So it's very possible. I've seen some of these, like on some of these lottery shows, that somebody's like, yeah, I won once. And then 6 weeks later, I won again. And it was like, oh my God, and it's just the odds of winning again are so much more in your favor in like law of attraction world because you believe it, because it happened already. So you know, we have this believability of things that have already happened. We're like, oh yeah, well, I've done that. I can do it again. Right. But when it's something that we haven't done yet, it can kind of feel a little hard, right? Sometimes, because especially if it's something that's like, I've been working on this for so long, that sort of thing. But if you've done it once, you can do it again. And if you did it twice, you can do it a third time and a fourth time. And you can just feel like, of course it can happen. Of course it will happen again. You have that absolute belief that it will happen again. Okay, so my next thought was, okay, so yeah, you know, it'd be really fun to win $1 million now. And then like in 2 weeks, win like $20 million. Like I was thinking all these things. These are just thoughts that pop in my head. And then it went on from there. Like all these thoughts went on from there. And then, so I'm telling you, the very next morning, because this all happened last night. So this morning I woke up from a dream of that I received $1 million. I was like, I was just talking about that in the shower last night. So anyway, so I tell my husband all this and he's just like, he's in such amazement of, if I could tell you the numerous amounts of crazy witchy stuff that happens every single day. If I could, I told myself this morning, I'm like, I need to start writing these things down because they have been so incredible. So I talked about yesterday that people who don't really believe, or not believe, but don't really understand the law of attraction and how it's like, because we were talking about inspired action yesterday, about how you just can't sit on the couch and like things will come to you. BS. You can. Like you're doing things because you're not going to sit on the couch 24 hours a day because you're going to get bored. Then you're going to want to get up and go do stuff because that's just who you are. Okay. So, but the thing is, when you start expecting things to happen to you, when you really get dialed in on this whole law of attraction and Abraham Hicks and infinite intelligence and source, and like the broader perspective of you knows where everything is and is guiding you, you can relax and you can meditate and you can allow. And you know what happens? This is what happens. Yesterday, my days are filled with crazy, cool manifestations. Like it's just one thing after another. My husband is in absolute amazement and keeps shaking his head like, what the hell? And I'm like, I know, I'm such a witch. I say that just as a joke because, you know, I tell some people like I manifest like magic. If you don't believe me, I don't know what to tell you. Like people in my like human physical world over here, of like telling me how to run a business. When somebody tells me how to run a business, when I'm like, dude, I manifest. That's how I run a business. So I'm very serious about this because all the human crap out there will bog me down if I partake in it, because we are heavily influenced by what we're listening to, like who you're listening to. So I'm careful who I listen to because I can be very influenced by people. If I'm in a certain place, like maybe tired or maybe just like whatever, I will, you know, I'll listen to people and it's like a message that maybe I've spent a while getting over and then it's like there again. So anyway, so yeah, I don't need all of these processes necessarily to run a successful business because I manifest things very easily. So here's something that happened to me yesterday. Like people, like strangers on the internet message me with opportunities. I'm not talking about MLMs like here, you know, buy my product. I'm not talking about that or get into my business or anything like that. Okay. So yesterday somebody messaged me. I read half the message and then I was like, I had to do something. And then, so after dinner, I was like, I had this thought of like, you know what, I'm going to do the dishes right after dinner. And I told my husband that because he cooks and I try to do the dishes because I'm a better person to do the dishes. And so, and then there was something I wanted to ask him, but that I kind of didn't want to get in, like have the conversation. I was just kind of, sometimes when you're just tired of talking and you're just like, no, I don't know if I want to really talk right now. And so he's like, no, I'll listen. So he pulled up a bar stool and sat there on the other side of the counter, which I don't know if we've ever done this in the years we've been together. So it was like such a different thing. So I was asking him about, one of the businesses that I started. He got completely trained in it as well, but he hasn't done it yet. And I was like, so I was asking him his plans. Like, is he still interested in doing that? Because I'm like half-hearted in it at this point because YouTube and real estate and all this other stuff. So I'm like, it's here. I can do it. Personally, I could do it. But I've got so much going on that I don't really feel like, and there's a couple negatives about it that I'm staying away from certain aspects. I know I'm like, so, like secretive or something, but I just don't want to get into all the details because it's like, could be boring. But so I asked him because he's doing his other job and I was just curious. It was like no judgment or anything. I was just curious because I thought maybe my possible negative perception of it was rubbing off on him and maybe he didn't want to do it anymore. He's like, no, I do want to do it. I'm like, oh, okay. So, talking about like title companies or whatever. And all these details. And so I'm like, cool. I just wanted to kind of check in to see where he was at with this. And so, excuse my nose. So I get done with the dishes. It was very nice to get them done. It was nice to have this conversation with him and just talk all about it and stuff. It was really nice. It was such a different moment. So I go back into my office and I go on the computer and I had this thought, oh, let me check my messages. Because I had 2 people reach out to me yesterday that were in my, my other folder. So I read the one from earlier. And it was a perfect stranger from the internet, from Facebook that I had never, talked to before. And she's like, hey, I know that you live in Wickenburg and I just wanted to let you know that if you don't know already, there is a brand new title company that moved in and here's a contact name and a contact phone number that maybe you can get some direct work up there. And I was just like, what the hell? Because I had been sensing, I'm telling you, I've been sensing for about at least a month that there must be another title company because I got on board with one and I just kept sensing. I haven't looked it up or anything. I kind of had an idea to look it up and then I just never did. And it's nowhere really to be found. And so I look it up and it's across the street from me. Like I can actually see the building from my office window right now. Well, it's dark outside, but you know what I mean? So I was just like, what the hell? Because my husband, his truck is like out of commission at the moment and we just haven't wanted to fix it. And, it's just, he doesn't really go very far. So I just drop him off. It's not a big deal because I like to go driving. So for him to just walk across the street and work the thing, it was exactly the conversation basically. Like the whole conversation we just had after dinner was perfectly aligned with the message that came in yesterday. And I hadn't read it yet, but I felt compelled a bit to start this conversation with my husband. And then I go and check that message and it was literally here. Here's the manager's name. Here's the phone number. Here is the thing. It's literally across the street from my house. It solves every issue that my husband was having about doing this job. And it was just handed on a silver platter to us, to both of us, by a perfect stranger on the internet who felt like she ran across my profile, saw that I lived where I lived, got this information. She lives on the other side of the world in Arizona, like in Phoenix, like over 100 miles away. Over, like, oh God, it's way over. So she lives very far away. And so she just did that. So when I tell you that you don't have to, things will come to you. People will feel like giving you information that is exactly what you need to know. Like for me to get like, because this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened. I have received so many like gifts from the universe of here you go. Oh, you wanted that information? Here you go. You wanted that, you had that question in your mind or you spoke it out loud. Here's the answer. It comes in so quickly from the internet, from people, from strangers, from who knows who. Like perfect. Like I cannot tell you how many people that have helped me, and I haven't asked for anybody's help except for the universe. Like I just expect it to happen. So so this whole BS thing about hustle and work hard and put a lot of effort and things don't come easily. That's such BS. It is. I mean, you can do all of that and burn out and have a stressful life and never see your children and never see your husband or your wife. You could do all of that. That's totally fine because most people do that. But me personally, I have this philosophy of like, why? Why do I want to work so damn hard and not enjoy my life? And so I finally was like realizing that I could have a really great life with very little effort. Very little, literally just living my life in a good way. Anyway, so I was sitting here last night like, what the hell? Like, holy crap. Like it really, and I'm very happy and I'm very like I will dwell in that of like, oh my God, it is so incredible that perfect strangers, like literal strangers send me the perfect information. So what do? I take that information. I looked it up immediately because I'm like, okay, so where is it? Across the street. There's a real estate office across the street. It's, there's a realtor in that office that sold this house to my father. So it's right across the street. And now there's a title company who moved into there just recently, like this past month. This past month that I've been sensing that there must be another title company somewhere in town. I just haven't looked for it yet. But the universe is like, hey, Heather, here you go. Working through other people, right? So, it's such a great thing when you feel compelled to tell somebody something, message somebody something, even if they're a stranger, do it because you're part of the co-creation and it's really exciting. So be that really kind, cool person that's like, oh, you know what? I know that she lives in that town and I know that that's going in there. I just want to, and she gave me the name and the phone number. Like, who does that? Who does that to a total stranger? So anyway, okay. So things like that just happen all the time. All kinds of information gets received over here. It's just incredible. It's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And how that happens is that I keep building momentum the more I talk about it. Like I talk about it with you guys, which is super helpful. It's just so helpful that I can sit here for 20, 30 minutes and talk about this because it helps manifest. And so I hope it helps you too, to see how this works and see, to witness somebody, firsthand and how this is coming about, because I know that people are like, how do I just live my life and things just come to me? Like, how does that happen? Well, because it just does. It just does. You have to believe. And that takes time. It took some time for me to get here in my mind. It took time. So, okay. So 19 minutes in, we haven't even started our daily thingy over here. So let me get this because this is good. April 2nd, guys. I don't know why my nose is stuffy. I do not have allergies. It just sounds like I do, I think, on this podcast. It's weird. Okay, April 2nd, guys. Vibrational alignment with your desire. That is such not a complete sentence. I apologize for a few of the grammar issues in my book, but vibrational alignment with your desire. That's like a title sentence, I would say, or statement or something. Stop putting timelines on things. Just line up to your desire. Okay, so yes, timelines. Um, oh, good Lord. Okay, so a lot of times, well, most of the time, I would say that we want something and we want it by a certain time and all of that. Now, I studied a lot with Abraham of timelines. Like we're talking like deadlines type of thing. Like, okay, so I want to get this by the end of the month, or I want to get this done by whatever. So, especially when we're doing this manifestation stuff, like I want to manifest $10,000 this month. What can happen is when we put a deadline or a timeline on something, sometimes it works. Sometimes, like if it's believable, if it's truly believable, it will happen. If you put, like, I remember, oh goodness, I'm not taking Benadryl because I finally feel better. I wasn't feeling good today, so now I'm feeling really good. So I'm not taking anything. I took ibuprofen earlier for a backache or something, and I got very tired and like not feeling well after a while. Anyway, so if it's believable, you know what Abraham says that Jerry always said, don't put your basket out too far where you're not going to be able to hit it. And meaning hit it with your beliefs. So it can get kind of tricky, can it? To be like, well, what do I ask for then? Like, because especially if you have moments, this is so me, that I have moments that I completely believe in something that's like really out there. And then I have other moments that are like, I scale it back. And then I'm like, well, am I confusing everybody? Like, am I confusing the universe? Or, would I get further along if I just asked for less, less, like instead of $12,000 a month, do I ask, what if I just was like, you know what? I'd be really happy. Like, I'm cool now, but I'd be happy with like $4,000 extra dollars a month or something. So like, I did ask for a lot of money. Well, I don't want to say a lot of money, but I asked for more money in March. And, looking at my YouTube channel at the March analytics, I quadrupled my views on my videos. I went from 10,000 views in February to 40,000 in March. It increased my revenue as well by I think, by 4 times 4. So that was pretty good. And then some other things came in too. So I haven't even like counted for March, like my revenue altogether with everything. But it definitely increased by a bunch for March. So whatever you ask for, if you believe it and you just keep following your inspiration, following what feels good, following the good ideas that you're having, the ideas that you're excited about, keep following those. Take the next logical step in those areas, in whatever ideas that you're getting. Some things will just be the kind of a longer term vision, because I know, I have a lot of great ideas, but I cannot implement them right this second. There's too many. And I'm not ready for them at all. Like, my two real estate channels that I'm going to start, I'm not even a realtor yet. So I cannot, well, one of them I definitely can't start because I'm not there yet. I'm just not there yet. So I have to know that is a longer term vision. Maybe by the end of this year, I will be able to start this one channel because I'll have some sales. I'll have, I'll work my program because I want to teach realtors how to really tap into this stuff. So there you go. Anyway, so stop putting timelines, because what happens is that a lot of times when we're getting close to the deadline and it hasn't happened yet, we get very stressed out about it or very worried. So we throw resistance on it, and then it a lot of times will not manifest. But if we're just like open because we know that the universe can deliver and it'll deliver in perfect timing, then the resistance is gone. So your job is to line up with your desire. So, your job is to get into alignment all day long. All day long. That's what I do. It's like a full-time job over here, just staying in alignment. Not even kidding. What do you guys think? So join me over on YouTube and let's have some discussion on the topic. So I'm going to let you go in a minute, but yeah, it's don't listen to all the other people that are like, you still have to take a lot of action. You don't have to take a lot of action. You really don't. You have to take a lot of belief. You have to get your mindset in a place of expectation. Little by little, you'll get there. And then over time, you'll feel incredibly confident that the answers will come. You'll feel incredibly confident that things will line up. That timing is just right. That as long as you maintain your alignment pretty well, you meditate, you're in a good mood, good spirit, treating people well, treating yourself very well, being happy, having fun, taking time off, doing all the things you want to do, all of that. You do all of that stuff and just know that when you have ideas, you go follow them. When you feel like doing something, you go do it. You just trust that everything's working out, and you do your very, very best to not get upset about things, not get worried about things, not get fearful. So sometimes, occasionally, things will happen. And then I get a little like, oh my gosh, am I ready? Like I've been training for something. I've been, learning something, a new thing. Am I ready? And then what I've told myself, and it's been working pretty well, is that, don't think anything about it, Heather. Just don't think about it. Just keep moving forward. So when I do my one business and have these signings with people, I don't have fear. I don't worry. I did get a little worried. I not worry, but like a little more pressure last week. I had a signing with a politician last week. And so that one got me a little bit. It did. I'm not going to lie. I felt something that I hadn't felt in a while. It wasn't like extreme at all. It was very low level of like anticipation. And I was trying to reframe it into like, oh, I'm excited to meet this guy. I'm excited to meet him because I haven't met, I don't think I've ever met a politician, but, and then if you heard the story, you'd be like, holy moly, because I had to end the signing because of a prior issue with a previous notary and all this stuff. And they were very gracious about it, but incredible. It was an incredible meeting. Everything went well, except that, the whole deal went south, but because I learned the laws and everything. But so there was that. I had about just over 24 hours to prepare for that signing, and everything worked out perfectly, except that I couldn't do it. But it was really good. And I kept pre-paving of like, they're going to be really great because everybody's been really great. Because, you just don't know with like, quote unquote, famous people or, whatever you want to call them. And then politicians, right? I kind of heard a little bit that he was a very nice guy. So I was like, cool. And I truly believe that I've pre-paved my business, that, my life, that everything is perfectly aligned, that everything works out. Like all the business I don't get is totally fine. I am 100% very good with not getting assignments because they're sent to me through text message like all day long. The ones that I don't get, I am very happy that I don't get them. Does that make sense? I'm very happy. I don't get bummed. I don't get upset. I don't get anxious. I don't get any of those things because I know that it's perfect alignment. I've had the best people that I've worked with so far. That's my expectation. Every single signer that I work with is amazing. And every single one of them has been. So every one that doesn't happen, I'm very thankful for. Because I'm like, oh, they probably weren't very great. They might have been awful. So you have to look at your business like that. You have to be like, okay, yeah, no, it's totally fine. Everything, happens for a reason. And they believe that too. Like most people do. But my politician signer and his wife I said, well, you know what? I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And they did too. And so everything works out. They're going to go with a different person to refinance and all of this. Everything's fine. Everything's working out just fine. So, there you go. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let you go. Have an amazing rest of your Friday, and I will be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.